Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
This is absolutely one of my favorite redneck riddles. Here we go. Question. What has 80 legs and only 3 teeth? The answer? The front row of a Billy Ray Cyrus concert. I love it. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. Call in. Oh, good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch, and welcome to our program for today, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call, get on the route service today at 734-6969. Right now, let's go to the phones and get our Pledge of Allegiance in. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Go ahead with our pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, you always do such a great job. Thank you, Lorna. God bless you. Hopefully we'll see you at Lunch Bunch on Thursday.
That's the plan.
Oh, okay. God bless. Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too. Thank you very much. What a nice lady right there. Hey, by the way, don't forget Cheney Flooring and Home Design is sponsoring our weather. And Whitney sends us all kinds of things like, design is like fashion. Every home is like every woman's wardrobe. Benefits from a little black dress. Oh, yeah. For example, in the family room, the oyster-colored linen sofa along with the aged barn wood on the ceiling work like the little black dress. It keeps things interesting in your home. Woo! Okay. And that's a little designing tip right there from Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door at Cheney Flooring and Home Design. And right now, here's the weather with Gina.
Here's your weather forecast as we are into pretty much the last week of May as we are working our way towards the Memorial Day weekend. We do have a slight chance of rain showers this morning, and winds are going to be out of the west, right around 9 miles an hour. High of 63 tonight, low of 43. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high of 66 with an overnight low of 43. Pretty much the same for Thursday and Friday. Mostly sunny skies. Highs are going to be in the mid to upper 60s. By Saturday, maybe a few morning rain showers and a high of 62, and then back to sunny skies and almost 70 for Sunday. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
All right, Gina, thank you very much. And brought to you by our friends at Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. Hey, don't forget on Thursdays, this coming Thursday, sale day at the sale that works for you. The Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley, and the number to call for consignment information and sale information, 678-9411. Merv May, Cade Rogge, Lance Udy are heading up the crew that always works for you. Burley Livestock Sale Yard, sale time Thursday at 10:30. Don't miss it. Oh, my, we've got a lot of things to do today, and we are later on at 9:30 this morning we're going to have one of my favorite people to listen to, and he goes all over the United States speaking about family situations, about kids and everything else, and where we are, where we should be. Larry Wingett is going to be on our program from down in Arizona, and we're looking forward to having him on at 9:30 this morning. Don't miss that segment. Going to be a good one. Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Hello. We've got more Rumply Crumplies to bring into them, and I highly suggest you take your clothes in there. And when you leave them off at Daryl's Cleaners, don't forget, if you prepay, you'll get a 10% discount. That's right, save money, and have your clothes coming back to you looking brand spanking new. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Also, I want to remind you, too, about our friends at SafeLink Internet. Now, they've got over 10,000 customers. 10,000 customers right here in this area. And they want to make it 10,001 because they want you. That's right. And if you sign up today for a one-year contract and receive free installation and $30 a month off for the first 3 months of service, you can't beat that. SafeLink Internet, 677-8000. That number again, 677-8000. All righty, dighty, it's your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you hear what the Veterans Administration Director, Bob McDonald, said yesterday? You know, just about the time that you thought people couldn't be any dumber or say any more stupid comments, he comes out with this one, and I heard it when he said it, and I looked at the cameras and I thought, or the TV, and I thought, what is this man thinking of saying something so frivolously dumb? He was asked about the wait times at the VAs. And I want soldiers right now that have served our country, if you would, give me a call on this. I mean, it really means a lot if you'd call me and give me your opinion. But he compared the wait times at the VA as a long line waiting to get into Disney World. Now, come on. That is as classless a remark. Here are soldiers that have served this country, are coming home, and they're not getting the attention necessary, and they've had severe wait times, months of trying to see a doctor, months of trying to get in the medication that they need. And then this guy looks at a TV camera, oh, well, it's no big deal. It's like, being in a long line at Disney World. Disney World? Please. Call me at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a jingle. Oh, my goodness. Also want to remind you, while I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, do not forget Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They're open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday, and they've got all of your heating and electrical and cooling needs, and they've been in business for over 50 years. 50 years? Wow. You stop in or give them a call at 678-0459. The best Ramsey Heating and Electric on 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, serving you. You know, we had a little bit of a meeting yesterday afternoon at Denny's restaurant, and I just love going in there. I mean, Thomas was there. We had a chance to visit with him a little bit. And caller, I'll be right there with you. Don't go away. Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley. And, of course, we're going to be there Thursday for the May edition of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. Don't miss that. Please be there. We're looking forward to seeing you. And along with Lunch Bunch, we want to say thank you to Smith's Foods and Hanson Mortuary, Walmart, Stokes Groceries for supplying our gift certificates for the drawings, okay? All of this, along with the great food, great people at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, 611 Overland in Burley, and 291 Poline in Twin Falls. And like I said, we will be at 611 Overland in Burley, Denny's Restaurant, at 11:30 on Thursday for Lunch Bunch. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Don't think this veterans thing is something new, because there's been some underhanded things all along. I can tell you my experience. In 1967, I was shot in a deer hunting accident, and my arm was pretty well blown apart, and I was sent to the Veterans Hospital in Boise. And after I was able to take care of myself and everything else, they would not release me. Because they wanted to keep their bed count up, because they were afraid that they wouldn't look good.
Let me ask you this, Keith. I have heard some good things about the VA up in Boise. I mean, I've had some veterans call me and say, you know, it may be a mess in other places of the country, but it's not that way in Boise. Many of our veterans, our returning vets, have spoke highly of Boise, but you had a bad experience up there.
No, my bad experience is with a stupid-ass doctor, because he wanted to control me. He was an old Army doctor, and incidentally, he did a really great job on me.
Oh, I see.
So it wasn't his skills, it was his bedside manner.
I see.
And he told me, if you check out now, you won't be able to ever come back to the Veterans Hospital.
Okay.
And that's a fact. You can take that to the bank. But when I complained to the administrator, he said he was sorry, but, you know, he has to go with the doctor, because, after all, he's the one that makes these decisions.
Well, let me ask you, what did you think of Bob McDonald, the VA director, yesterday making that comment of, well, don't be so surprised about a waiting line. It's like a long line getting tickets at Disney World. I thought that was totally inappropriate.
I think it really is the most... I can't even describe how bad that is, because some of our veterans, that's their only source of medical care.
Right.
And when you make them wait in line, like if you had a heart condition and they say, well, we can get you in about 2 weeks from now or something like that, you may be dead.
Yeah.
And they'll say, well, that's the way it is, you know. You would have died anyway, or, you know, I think sometimes these people at the Veterans Hospital forget who they're working for.
You know, why should our soldiers, why should our veterans, including you and many others in this area, why should they ever be subjected to second-class treatment after what they have done to put their lives literally on the line for this country?
Well, I think it is really bad that these things have to happen. I have never been back to Veterans Hospital since then, because it left a bad taste in my mouth.
All right,
because
Keith.
Of one person, they get the administrator back the doctor.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your calling in this morning on this situation.
There, but it can happen anywhere. It could happen in private practice or whatever. But in private practice, you lose a customer, and it hurts your business.
Absolutely. Oh, boy, that is a fact. Keith, God bless you, man, for calling in. You're always welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Got to pay some bills, and then we'll take some more phone calls. What do you think about a frivolous, very unthoughtful comment by VA Administrator Bob McDonald saying, wow, you're complaining about the long wait for the VA? Well, you stand in line at Disney World for tickets. Oh, my. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. The number to call, 678-1191. Now, okay, here's the deal. If you heard some screams yesterday like a little child, it was me. I mean, Nick put me through some stretching exercises for my hip yesterday, and I was like WWF wrestling. I was patting the mat and going, okay, uncle. But you know what? When it was all done, I felt a lot better. My hip felt a lot better. And that's just the name of the game, helping you to get back to being you. These people know their business. All the physical therapists over there at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. You know, that's just the whole name of the game. They know their business, and they can help you. 678-1191, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Wheels, how we coming in? It's a little cloudy and fuzzy and not so good on my headsets, but how we coming in over there?
Over here, it doesn't sound that bad. I can hear the fuzz in the background, but I don't think it's too much to... make a concern about.
Okay.
If it was crackling and popping,
all right,
and stuff like that, and you cut me out.
Well, let me know at close to 9 o'clock if I should call back, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, buddy, thanks. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental, 3 locations, South Lincoln and Jerome, and Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. You know, literally, they've got all the equipment that you could ever need to get the job done right. And they've got a lot of the Bobcat rentals right now that have special prices and great financing available, so get in there today. I mean, the Doosan loaders, Bobcats, the Coyote tractors, Walker lawnmowers, all the steel power equipment. Whoa, baby, they've got it all at Barry Equipment and Rental in Jerome on South Lincoln, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. You betcha. Barry Equipment and Rental. Really good folks. All right, your thoughts and calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. How many of you out in the audience have flown in the last month or are flying maybe even this week or have flown in the last year on numerous occasions? How many of you had a good, bad, or indifferent experience with the TSA? Raise your hands and give me a call, okay? There are a lot of cities that the TSA, the people that check you in, check your baggage, they are absolutely pathetic. Now, I want to say this, and I've said it before on my program, and I mean it, that my experiences with the TSA at the Twin Falls Airport were all very good. All very good. And I want to give that right up front. I never had a bad experience here. They were very professional. They were very positive. They did their job, and they did it in such a manner as to not delay people, make things slow down. They were very good. But the caveat is when you go to the major cities. I absolutely have been appalled at the TSA people working in St. Louis, L.A., and also Chicago and New York, and I could go on to other airports. I don't know what the problems are. I don't know if it's a gene pool of not very qualified people. I don't know what it is, but it's past time, in my opinion, to privatize that business and get rid of the TSA. Once again, I want to back up to what I said at the beginning. I always was treated with respect and always treated with a sense of urgency that you don't have to stand in line. They're going to do the best job possible at Twin Falls. I mean that. And I did have a couple of problems at Salt Lake, but they were minimal. But your major airports like St. Louis was horrendous. Honestly, I think all of the people that were working in this one section at St. Louis Airport, they should have been fired immediately. They were not qualified to work with the public. I've had various examples of poor quality workmanship at LAX in Los Angeles. Very poor. My wife can nod her head and say, yeah, buddy, that was terrible. But what are your thoughts? Have you had any problems with your baggage, with the rudeness, with the slowness at the TSA? Because there is a major push right now to get better performance for us, the people that are flying. Some of the stories that came out in the last couple of days showing, like in Chicago, over 500-600 people are missing their flights because of very slow TSA workers. They had to bring in cots, and they had to prepare people to just sleep right there in the airport. It's pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. What are your thoughts? Give me a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. That is the number one thing that I do not miss when I retired from full-time traveling. And it just got to the point where it was so frustrating, maddening, and quite frankly, losing your temper. It's not worth it. So give me a call if you've had any of those experiences. I'd like to hear what you have to say. While I'm waiting for your call, I'm looking for the copy that says, my goodness, there is a big sale going on at Redder's Showcase. Redder's Showcase, and it starts on the 25th, which is tomorrow, and goes through Memorial Day on May 30th. Oh, and they're going to have special hours and special low prices, like on Serta Queen sets, starting at just $3.99. And they've got all kinds of great deals for you. They've got twin mattresses starting for just $99.95. With up to 12 months, same as cash on approved credit. You better stop in and see them when the sale starts tomorrow at Redder's Showcase, and that's 2611 Overland in Burley. Really nice people. Well, we have just a moment before we take some more of your calls, which I certainly hope are coming in. My goodness. Have you had any bad experiences flying anywhere with the TSA? Let me know. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids with the lovely Dr. Christine Pickup. And you know what? Right now, she is the only locally owned and independent hearing healthcare practice in all of southern Idaho. She is very good. Knows all about hearing loss, knows all about how to help it, knows all about what your problems may be and solve them. Please give her a call today at 312-0957. Right across from the Minidoka Hospital Emergency Room, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. You give her a call today, please. I appreciate that. You know, in this... we got a call. Thank you very much, Wheels. Appreciate it. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hi, Jeff. I've had a lot of interesting experiences flying, and some of them have been just interesting and laughable, but some of them have been pretty tough. And one of them was one day I flew from Washington to Salt Lake and was going on to Washington, D.C., and meeting some people in Salt Lake, and they were on the plane when I got there, and I got on, and somebody says, "Hi, Jack."
Oh.
And I had a long, they took me off.
Is that a true story?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I might say that my dear friend, Jack Euler, is on the air. And I have heard other people say that's happened to them, but this actually happened to you, right?
Yes, it did. Salt Lake Airport.
Oh, my goodness sakes.
And, you know, I had one at LAX one time. I was waiting for a plane, and I got there a little bit early, and here's a cowboy that had been to a rodeo, and he had his saddle, and that's all he had was his saddle, and he was sitting there, and the young man was, you know, he had his Levi's and looked like he just got off his horse, and it was so interesting that here he is sitting there in the airport at LAX, and he's got the Bible and he's reading it. I sat down by him and talked to him for a little while. We both got on the same plane and headed for Salt Lake. But there are some interesting stories, especially in Washington, D.C., Chicago, all over the country.
Let me share this, and I've said this before on the air, and I think the funniest happenstance that ever happened to me flying, even though it was frustrating, I had to look at the man that caused this happenstance as if he were, and I'm not pulling any punches, my dear friend, the dumbest man on the face of the earth, and I'll tell you why. I walk up to the TSA counter, okay? I'm on my crutches. I have put my briefcase, I've taken off my hat, I've taken off my belt buckle and everything, and the guy looks at me and he says, "Put your crutches on the rollers and walk through." And I looked at him and I said, "If I could walk through, why, sir, do you think I need the crutches?" And he had the blankest stare on his face. I don't think he ever passed first grade with Ned and the first grade reader.
There's a lot of those. I was in the Denver airport once, and we were coming back. We'd been hunting over by Kansas, and I think there was 4 of us. You have your guns locked in cases, and we were getting to the airport. We were in a hurry and trying to get our guns checked through so we could get on and get home. And the guy that was driving the rental car had left the key to his gun case on the key ring of the rental car.
Uh-oh.
And so you're supposed to open your gun case so they can check the bullets, they can check the gun, they can check everything. And he told me, he says, I didn't know how I was going to get on there. And I said, I'll take care of it. And I just went up to the guy at the counter and I gave him $20. And I told him the story of why we didn't have a key to that case. And he says, no problem, thank you.
Well, you know, there are all kinds of stories in the major cities, like I mentioned, St. Louis, Chicago, L.A., many of them. I honestly believe that the business of security would be better run with a privatization of that TSA. What are your thoughts?
I totally agree. I have a metal hip, and I got metal in my heart, and I tell you what, I just hate to go through an airport anymore because they strip me down to nothing.
Uh-oh. That's an image right now, sir, that is very disconcerting.
It is. I mean, it's totally disconcerting.
Yes, it is. It's a very dehumanizing experience, and you feel nothing more than like you're a bunch of Angus cows going through a checkout. Yep.
That's
Jack,
right.
God bless you. Jack, I appreciate your call. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it. Thanks.
See ya.
Dear friend right there, Jack Euler, thank you. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, and I was almost put on the no-fly list in Los Angeles one time. True story. I mean, I'll give you the facts of this story really quick, and I think you probably would agree with me how maddening and frustrating it is. I walked through, and the guy looked at me, and he says, "Take your shirt off." How many of you that have gone flying have ever had a TSA agent take your shirt off? Tell you that. Well, I was not really in a good humor, and I said, "Why would you want me to take my shirt off?" And he says, "I told you now." Well, he and I exchanged some not so pleasant words, and he took my shirt and threw it on the dirty roller bars of that counter instead of putting it in one of those plastic containers, and let it go through on that dirty conveyor belt without any, and I was fuming. I was absolutely fuming. To this day, I do not know why I had to take my shirt off. I was with my wife at LAX airport in California, and I still don't understand why. And when that shirt came through, as I knew was going to happen, it had some streaks where the conveyor belt had created some black marks. And I have never in my life wanted to reach out and play AT&T with someone like I wanted to play AT&T with him. In other words, I had a strong urge to just poke him right in the nose. These people, many of which think that they are Lord and Master over all of us. And that's all the more reason why I think a privatization is important for the TSA. Oh, don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's an air conditioner, a heat pump, or a gas furnace, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Call Ramsey's today at 678-0459 and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox can save you money. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I got to ask you a question. Do you, as a parent or grandparent, when you go shopping for toys for your kids or your grandkids, are you really cognizant today, more so than before, about trying to be politically correct? Are you? Honestly? Are you worried that someone else is going to tell you how to raise your kids? Are you worried that if you give a toy to your youngster that, Granny and Grampy will be coming over on the weekend, or Aunt Martha and Uncle Fred, and they might not like it, so we better not give them that. It's not politically correct. Have we reached that point? Yeah, we have. I just saw a little story this morning on the news, and I admit I didn't catch the whole thing, but the gist of the story was this. That there are the new Legos, those stick-together toys, you can build all kinds of things, The new Legos are under fire by the PC wackos because some of the new Legos are of the Star Wars design with the Star Wars characters and everything, and you can make through the Legos, the different characters in the new Star Wars. Well, they have the different characters with their galaxy weapons. And the PC people are going, oh, no, you can't give those to children. Why, that will turn them into serial killers. What? This is completely nutso. Think about it when we were kids. And I know what you're saying. How can you remember back that far, Zebber? Well, I do remember. And I do remember the gun and holster sets from the Roy Rogers trend back in those days. I do remember playing cowboys and Indians. I do remember having the Daisy air rifles. I do remember the spring guns that shot all the plastic balls, and you'd go around the house going boom, 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 boom at your sister, and she'd shoot back. Well, you know what didn't turn us into serial killers? It didn't make us to where our pictures are hung at the post office. What is the matter with our society that we're trying to alienate the kids from reality? We're trying to, if they don't see this and they don't play with this, well, they'll never know that it existed. This is nuts. Honestly, I think we're not exposing the kids today to what's really going on out in the world. And this idiocy and incompetency, in my opinion, has got to stop. Now, that's where you come in. Give me a call and tell me if this political correctness has got so absorbed like a cancer in our lives. Nothing is hardly acceptable anymore. I mean, if you go out on the school ground and you make, like we used to, the little gun with your thumb and your forefinger and go, pow, 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 and you shoot, you're going to get hauled into the principal's office. Caller, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Bell. How art thou this morning?
I'm always upset about something.
They're screaming about our kids becoming serial killers and all this crap they've got. Maybe I'd take a look at the movies that's coming out today. Probably 1 out of 100 is worth watching. It's all sex and violence.
Now, I think you're being awfully kind in saying 1 out of 100. I think the averages are much lower. I think you'd be right to say maybe 1 out of 300.
Yeah, it's a wasting to turn TV on anymore. If it wasn't for just very few programs, we wouldn't have it on at all. But our kids need to learn what life's about and not be sheltered. But they also don't need to be exposed to all the crap that's going around either.
Absolutely. But that's where the word parents comes in, George.
I agree with you 110%.
All right.
A lot of these parents today and the younger generations, I always go back and say it was the mid-'60s where the world kind of went to hell with the hippies and all the love-ins and drugs and what have you.
Yeah.
But, I think our really young generation start to turn back around, but those in the middle, some of them's pretty pathetic.
I agree. Didn't you have something else you wanted to mention real quick? I got another call waiting.
Yes, sir. This Saturday we have the Idaho Roll Memorial ride. The combat veterans is going to place a wreath at the memorial,
right,
and have a short program, and the public's welcome. We will have food there and a short program.
Where's it going to be, George, and what time does it start?
It's program starts at 1, but we'll be set up about noon.
Okay.
And it's the 7th and Scott here in Rupert.
Okay.
Take a few minutes out of your weekend and come pay tribute to our fallen comrades and and their families. It's a few minutes is well worth your time.
All right, George, God bless you. I hope everybody shows up. Thank you very much for your comments this morning, my dear friend. Take care.
You bet you.
Thank you. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, the world has gone nuts. This new Frozen movie that's coming out.
Yeah.
They're trying to push that one of the main characters is going to be a lesbian, which scares me. My granddaughters won't watch that show. But my other comment had to do with guns. When I was 8 years old, a long time ago, we lived across the street from the principal, and our big trees out front had some of the coolest guns hanging in them. We'd go out and find a stick that had fallen out of the tree and played kill each other. Army war, we was whatever with the boys that lived across the street. It was the principal's son. There's never a problem.
I got to tell you something.
How many little boys or girls who use the stick out of the tree as a gun?
I stop right there because don't hang up, because what you did is just bring back some really fond memories of when I went to school, elementary school, at Curtis Mill Country School. And at recess, I can remember when I was in about the 4th or 5th grade, we built a fort out of some fallen trees that had fallen, the limbs and everything. And then we found, just like you, the little sticks that resembled the guns, and we'd have battles like the Battle of the Alamo and all that kind of stuff. And you know what? Not one single one of my schoolmates ever grew up to be a serial killer.
Yeah, I don't think we did either. In fact, I have never shot an animal with a gun. I've never chopped a chicken's head off. It's just me personally. I have a sister who has frostbit her feet, I don't know how many times, chasing down that deer that got injured, or that elk got injured. We are completely opposite. But she wasn't necessarily out there playing gun army with us because she was younger than I was.
Yeah.
She's not a serial killer. She does it for food.
Let me ask you this real quick. What do you think about this idiocy? And that's what it is with the PC twits that are saying, you can't sell the Legos of Star Wars if they have any of the Galaxy weapons. Isn't this completely nuts?
Well, I'll tell you one. When my son, who's 20, he'll be 21 this coming year, when he was in preschool, at a school-sponsored, it was a school district's preschool, he couldn't take a soldier to show and tell that the soldier was 1 inch high holding a pistol. Now, you tell me how big that pistol is.
Oh, my.
He had a gun in his hand.
Oh, my word. Oh, thank you.
I don't even think the soldier was really 1 inch tall. It was maybe 3/4 of an inch tall. Now, you tell me, how big could that gun have been? And he couldn't take it because it was a gun.
Oh, my goodness sakes. Thank you very much for your call. God bless you for all your thoughts. I appreciate it. Thank you.
God bless you, too.
I wonder, and somebody's going to have to tell me because I haven't been to a toy store for a lot of years, but somebody tell me, do they even sell gun and holster sets anymore? I mean, do they even sell, like maybe maybe the kids today don't even know who Roy Rogers was, but do they even sell gun and holster sets, the cowboy and Indian type thing anymore? I don't know, because now if you can't buy Legos, this is so absolutely stupid. If you can't buy Legos of the Star Wars different individuals because they might have their galaxy weapons that you can incorporate into the forming of them, this is political correctness going right straight into the garbage, for heaven's sakes. Give me a call. Let me know. I don't know. I haven't been to a toy store for so long. Give me a call. It's time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you this hour by the urgent cares of Jerome, Twin Falls, and Burley. Let me give you the exact locations. Riverview Urgent Care at 382 North Overland in Burley, and Twin Falls Urgent Care at 2392 Addison Avenue East in Twin Falls, and Jerome Urgent Care at 133 West Avenue A in Jerome. Minor emergencies, major care, whether you've got an ear infection or whether you've got a sprain or maybe some kind of an infection, get in there and they can take care of you. Absolutely. They're easy to go in, no appointments necessary at the urgent cares. Caller, I'll be there in a minute. Here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast as we are into pretty much the last week of May as we are working our way towards the Memorial Day weekend. We do have a slight chance of rain showers this morning, and winds are going to be out of the west, right around 9 miles an hour. High of 63 tonight, low of 43. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high of 66 with an overnight low of 43. Pretty much the same for Thursday and Friday. Mostly sunny skies. Highs are going to be in the mid to upper 60s. By Saturday, maybe a few morning rain showers and a high of 62, and then back to sunny skies and almost 70 for Sunday. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch. I
appreciate it, Gina. Brought to you by the Urgent Cares. Kyle James and his wonderful staff. Riverview Urgent Care of Burley, Urgent Care of Jerome, and Urgent Care in Twin Falls. Caller, good morning. Thank you for your patience.
Good morning, Zeb. Yes, they do sell those. In fact, they even sell them in pink now for girls. Our granddaughters have each had one, and we have a great baby that will soon have one, too. And I just... I had a twin brother, and when we were kids, one of us was an Indian, and one side was the cowboys, and it didn't make us hate Indians. It didn't make us look at cowboys as any better or any different. We played Army, we played shoot 'em up, kill 'em, died on the grass, did all sorts of stuff, and it didn't turn us into anything.
Did you have the arguments? Let me ask you this: when you were playing the guns with the cowboys and Indians and the Army and everything, I can honestly remember when we had the neighborhood kids over to play that. I shot you in the shoulder. You played dead. You're not dead yet. Did you ever have those conversations?
Oh, yeah, I know, yeah. You died. No, I'm not. Yes, I do. And we, then it went from there to paint guns, and we do marshmallow guns for our kids, and I don't know. All of our grandkids have had, well, not all of them because some of them are still little, but they've all had ammunition and weapons and stuff for their birthdays, and we go out and shoot targets, and I don't know.
Well, let me say this to you, and I want to get your response. Let me just say this quickly. When you think about the idiocy of the wacko PC crowd today, political correct people saying, parents, you can't buy these Legos. No, we're going to make sure they're off the shelf because they resemble Star Wars characters and the galaxy weapons. What is your thought when you hear something so absolutely blatantly dumb?
Well, it just goes right down to the bottom line of the teeny tiny percentile of the people that take the majority of our minds up.
Yeah.
Just even with the transgender thing. And, back again when we were kids, there were a couple of boys that would stay in recess and play dolls with the girls. There were girls that went out and played sports with the boys. That didn't make them or cause them. None of them are having a problem with their gender or their sexuality. That was just what they liked to do as little kids. And now, oh boy, if you see something like that, if you see a little boy that likes pink or a little, whatever, boy, it's because they're confused.
Well,
I have a red-headed grandson, and his comment is, I make pink look good, and he doesn't care what it is, and he loves to wear pink. So what?
Well, here's the thing.
Cowboy there is.
Here's the thing that I think needs to be said, and I quickly want your response, and we'll take some more calls. But we today are afraid to expose our children to what the world is really like. And when I say that, we can expose them to a gun and holster set. We can expose them to playing Army or Cowboys and Indians. But you know what? As parents, I can remember that my mom and dad, they used to sit down on me with many, many occasions when I got my first BB gun, and woe betide me if I didn't follow the rules. And that takes parental involvement to understand reality from just play.
Well, it is, and absolutely there are accidents. I was shot in the eyebrow by a cousin with a BB gun, and here just 2 years ago, he says, I've never been able to forgive myself. I said, are you kidding me? We were little kids. It wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
It wasn't, absolutely it could have been devastating, but you know what? So can jumping on a trampoline and playing baseball. How many times have you been hit in the eye with a fastball?
Oh, lady, you have no idea. My head has lumps all over it. I played baseball from the time I was 6 years old until the time I was 19, and I guarantee you I've got bumps all over me from balls that have hit me at places that I don't even want to talk about.
Well, let's get those wicked things off the shelf. There is no room for a baseball and a bat on the shelf.
God bless you for your call. Have a good day. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I can remember when I was playing a lot of baseball, starting in Little League, my dad, whenever he took the time to play catch with me, it wasn't a friendly game of catch. He really taught me how to field ground balls. And I mean, he'd get about 25, 30 feet away, and he would make things happen. There'd be the bouncers, there'd be the line drive grass burners, and a lot of times in my learning stages, I'd go in the house with puffed up lips and maybe a bloody nose, or my eyes, one didn't close real good. But I learned. And it's a part of growing up, for heaven's sakes. I don't care if you're playing Cowboys and Indians or Army. I got you on the shoulder. You can't shoot me anymore. It didn't hurt anybody. But this PC society, this is a great lead-in for what we're going to have on at 9:30. Larry Wingett. You're going to love this guy. You've seen him on national television. He's been on national TV many, many times, on Fox and O'Reilly and on Hannity and others. He and I think, are brothers that are long-lost brothers. And I found out this morning by going through some of his bio material that were born on October 2nd, the same day. His birthday and mine are the same. Oh, we must be joined at the lip. Anyway, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Don't forget, be ready for summertime travel by stopping into your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, they're good. They're good. And they offer a free pre-trip safety check, visual inspection of a lot of very important parts of your car, from your tires all the way to your brakes. You check it out today. And don't forget, they've got all the tires for all your driving needs, your car, pickup, SUV, horse trailer, boat trailer, camper trailer. Oh, yeah. They want to make sure you enjoy your trip. Stop in today and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Mr. Bell, I forgot to mention on those Legos, I think that's one of the greatest toys that's come out for these young kids to learn. Last Saturday we was in Twin. We bought my grandson a 740-piece Lego. Hour and a half later, he had it put together. If you follow instructions, I'd learn skills with your hands on building it. And that's, I think, one of the best toys that's come out in years.
Oh, I agree with you. Anything that'll keep their attention and create an opening in their mind to build something and construct something. My parents, they gave me all kinds of that stuff, like the Lincoln Logs. Remember the Lincoln Logs when we were kids, George? Remember that?
I still got a closet full of them.
And I think before my mother passed away, they were all upstairs in the attic at home. I had all kinds of Lincoln Logs, and you could build the forts, and you had the little characters, the cowboys and Indians. There was nothing wrong with that stuff, George.
No, the only problem of it is, I think with this administration, you get to thinking for yourself, and they don't like that.
That's probably true. God bless you for your call, man. Thanks.
Have a good day, sir.
I don't want to be politically correct. I don't respect people that are politically correct. I don't really, because they're falling in lockstep with a control system, and that control system is the government and the sickos and the nitwits that want everything their way. I won't do that. I can't do that. So I guess what I'm telling you is go to the store, buy some cowboy and Indian outfits, get some gun and holster sets, get the Legos with the Star Wars and the Galaxy weapons, and spit in their eye. We're going to take a little break and be back in about 7 minutes with more Zeb at the Ranch. Frosty Woolridge at 9:06. Don't go away. Wheels, take it away. Oh, scams everywhere. Be careful out there, folks. It's a dirty, dirty world. Good morning. Our part's nice and clean, though. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, and, of course, all 7 locations. And then also our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand. Always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Oh, I want to talk a little bit about the route service. My goodness, they come right to your place, pick up your trash, load it up on those big trucks, and say goodbye. They are locally owned and operated and do a wonderful job. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call 734-6969. Were you clearing your throat for my benefit before?
Oh, yes, sir. I was just going to let you know that I haven't heard from Frosty Woolridge yet. I wonder if maybe he forgot or that he might be busy.
Don't say things like that. Hopefully he'll call in before I finish my commercial break, all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, buddy. Thank you. Oh, my goodness sakes, we got some other things to talk about before Frosty calls in, and he better call in. Frosty, call Frosty if you would, please, quickly. No, next week is his last week. All right. Don't forget Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door, and they bring you the weather every morning at 8:06. So don't forget Cheney Flooring and Home Design. They are absolutely the best with whatever you need to make your house a home. Cheney Flooring and Home Design. You know, we are really blessed on this program because we have the best, absolutely the best sponsors and advertisers of anywhere in this country. And I want to extend that same verbiage to Hanson Mortuary. They are absolutely so nice. Joel Heward, his family, his staff. Well, Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Family attention to your family in a time of need. When there's the passing of a loved one. Always with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. Don't forget, call them today for a lot of information that we all should have for our families. And that's, of course, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Please call them today. Also, our friend Vicky at Vicky's Country Garden. She was on yesterday. She's on every Monday at about 9:16, segment on our program. She does a wonderful job about gardening and landscaping, and all of that is over at Vicky's Country Gardens, 185 South, 600 West of Paul. The number to call, 438-5663. We are vigorously trying to get a hold of Frosty Woldridge, and evidently it's not working. Is he on the air yet, Wheels, my dear friend?
No, sir. I still haven't heard anything.
This does not bode well for my temper this morning. Frosty, where are you? You might try, I'm trying to remember the number. Wheels, write this down really quick and try it if you would. 303-666, boy, and then my mind went blank. Deanne, what's the rest of that number in that book over there? And she's getting it real quick. 6186, I think. Here, let me have it, and we'll see if we can find it here real quick for Frosty Woldridge, and it's not in the book. Wheels, I'm afraid we don't have that right now.
Well, dang, I actually...
Well, dang, he says. Well, dang.
I have the 303-666, and then...
Try 6186 and see what you get. You might end up with the prison system. I have no idea.
Okay.
All right.
I will try that then.
Tell them you'll be there to check in at 3 p.m. You're on an extended work release.
All right, I'll see how it goes.
All right, thank you. We're trying to run down Frosty Woldridge, and he told me that this week would be his last week on the air until he leaves on a great big spring and summer bike riding trip all across America. But in the interim, you might say, I'm going to save Zeb's bacon. We will give him a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Yeah, I had a good talk with you folks last hour in regards of not being politically correct. What other things or items or whatever have you run across where the PC crowd is trying to change, alter, destroy, bend the minds, whatever? Oh, you can't do that. That's not politically correct. Tell me if you've run across anything else. Let me know. And that one lady called, and I put it out on the air, and I said, are there still for sale gun and holster sets at toy stores? I didn't know because I haven't been in one for a long time. But if there is, I'm honestly thinking about going and buying about 2 or 3 gun and holster sets as just kind of memorabilia of what things used to be like before the absolutely contemptuous PC crowd took over in this country. Give me a call if you've had any of those experiences. I'd like to hear that, please. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Want to remind you, too, about our friends at Lennox Home Comfort Systems with Ramsey Heating and Electric. Gas furnaces, air conditioners, heat pumps. Oh, yeah. You're going to enjoy the comfort. All you have to do is call Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459. And Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox can and will save you money. I know that Wheels over at our station is fervently trying to reach Frosty, and Deanne is fervently trying to reach him on this end. But in the interim, give me a call, please, and let me know what your thoughts are about PC correctness. You know, now certain words, many words, they won't accept you saying in your daily speech. Oh, you can't say that word. Oh, that's wrong. You've got to strike that from your vocabulary. And many actions they don't allow. They don't want you to do certain things. They don't want you to pray in public. Oh, that's terrible. And, the gun and holster sets. Now what have you got for me? I hear another throat clearing going on.
Sorry about that. I was actually able to get a hold of Frosty on his cell phone when you gave me the 303-666, the 6186 number.
Yeah.
So he's calling me now. I'll put Doug on, and then you can talk to him real quick, and then I'll have you go straight to
Well, you are right. Good morning, Dougie. Real quick before I put Frosty on, how are you?
I'm doing great. You need to take a blood pressure medicine. You're starting to boil over there.
Oh, I am not getting mad.
Yeah, it's just like, you can't sell them guns because they'll be killers. That's why we've got the society we have today. You can't hit a kid. You can't, because it teaches them to hit.
Well, let's say spank.
Okay, spank.
Yeah.
Because it teaches them to, teaches them to hit.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Dougie boy. When my passed away father hit me, it never taught me to hit. It taught me not to do what I did ever again.
My dad's still with me, thank the Lord, and And I'll guarantee you, I do not backtalk him when he says, that's not right. I know that's not right. I better straighten up, or my dad's wrath will come down. Straighten me out.
I can honestly tell you before I go to Frosty Woolridge that when my mother had a argument with me or I did something wrong growing up, and she would look at me and she said, that's fine. I'm just going to lay this all out for your dad when he gets home at 3:45. I looked at the watch and I knew I only had a limited time to live.
Yeah, I can relate to that 100%.
Yep. Hey,
I'll let you get to Frosty.
I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you very much. Right now, let's go to the phone lines and say, where are you, my dear friend Frosty Woolridge? Good morning.
Good morning, Zeb. Actually, I was out taking the front wheel off the bike and placing it in the box, and then Sandy says, hey, you guys, I'm sitting there going, my brain is just completely, because I'm just getting ready for the final, preparation for the bike ride. My apologies.
So do you mean to tell me, my dear friend, that you let a bicycle wheel take precedence over my program?
Well, for just a momentary slip.
A momentary slip. I like that. Oh, Frosty, would you agree with me that our society, in my opinion, my humble opinion, is going to the dog dish?
Well, I want everyone to appreciate this, and you will see part 4 of the 4 tribes competing for supremacy in 21st century America. And on News with Views this morning, newswithviews.com, you'll see the Hispanic, Latino, Mexican ethnic tribe that will become the 51% majority by 2042, which is only 26 years from now. And so, you and I, among very few people in this country, understand exactly what's happening, and we have the guts and the gumption. I actually had some guy on the East Coast just write me a nasty letter telling me I was all these terrible things and that immigration is inevitable into the United States. You better get used to it. And he really was quite nasty. His name is Robert Berger, and he's really an acerbic individual. And obviously, if you look across the scope and the expanse of America, as I said, most Americans are sitting around watching this deterioration and degradation of American society, their society, and they're not doing anything about it. And part 5 will be the Muslims. And that's going to be even more articulate than the other 2 tribes that are fighting for supremacy in America, and that's the African American tribe. That's, of course, the European American tribe, now the Hispanic tribe, and then the Muslim tribe. And I think this 5-part series will really show you what's happening on a deep, deep level. And you're right. We, the American people, the 90% of population of European Americans that was the dominant back in 1965, simply watched the Immigration Reform Act be passed, didn't do anything about it, aren't doing anything about it right now, and the country is being flooded with another 100 million third world immigrants, and we are going to rue the day that we sat on our butts and did nothing. Especially from all indications, the Muslim tribe is going to be incredibly aggressive. It's incredibly determined. It is religiously driven. And it is literally the craziest, most obscene and violent religion on the planet. And we're simply importing it into our body.
Well, let me tell you this, Frosty. You and I are the same age. We grew up in the same era, if you will. I miss, and I mean this when I say this, and for all the PCers out there, I don't care if they're offended. I miss the Billy Martins and the Reggie Jacksons fighting in the dugout. I miss the direct head-to-head hits of Dick Butkus. I miss all of this stuff. I miss people standing up and saying, I don't care if you like it or not, I'm going to knock you on your keister. We need more of that in America, and I'll tell you why, because we were a society that stood up for things, and we were a society that didn't take guff from anybody.
You've got that exactly correct. And now we're sitting here trying to put men into women's bathrooms. We've got a president that is literally trying to import more of his kin and his religion into our country. We've got a president that really hates this country. He was a part of Pastor Wright there in Chicago, that, GD America, and that we've got 7 more months of that guy. And then we've got Harry Reid, and we've got Nancy Pelosi, and Barbara Boxer, and Dianne Feinstein, and you got Charles Schumer, and you got John McCain, all of them doing everything they can not to defend America, not to defend our borders. And our borders, again, I want everybody to understand this. They're flooding over. The CIS, the Center for Immigration Studies, said that their report shows anywhere from 400 to 700,000 illegal aliens still coming across the borders every year right now, because our Congress, this president, the last president, the president before that, would not defend our borders, would not secure the borders. And it's a farce. The war on drugs, the drugs are coming across the borders just as fast as the illegals. It's because your congressperson, your 2 senators right there in Idaho, and certainly in my state of Colorado, 1 Republican, 1 Democrat, they will do nothing to stop the drugs from flowing in, and they have done nothing, and they won't stop the illegal immigration, and they won't stop the legal immigration. So we are continually going to see a degradation of our country and fragmentation and fracturing of this country. That is what's going to continue, and I don't see any let-up in it.
Let me throw this at you. I know that because of all your writings and you're following the news, you're aware of the Baltimore, Maryland problem with the death of that black, Freddie Gray. Well, the police involved in the arresting of Freddie Gray have been on trial and in court. And one of them, yesterday, Officer Edward Nero, was absolutely exonerated to the point where he did nothing guilty of any charges that were leveled against him. And then the blacks came out and said, they're ready to burn Baltimore into pieces. This is insanity, Frosty.
Well, it certainly is. And let me have you appreciate this. Baltimore is 67% black. It's 67% black. So if you burn Baltimore, you are burning your neighbors out, you're burning your streets down, you're burning your gymnasiums, you're burning your schools down. And so if the blacks do that, they're simply burning their own village. And that is complete insanity.
I have never asked you this, and it's really none of my business or any of the listeners, but I own guns. I will never turn loose of the protection devices for my family, myself, and my home and my property. And I am very, very concerned every single day on this political campaign stump, hearing some of the key words and phrases of Hillary Clinton. This woman absolutely is going to go against the Second Amendment if, hopefully not, she's elected as president. What are your thoughts?
That's exactly what she will do. She will go after the Second Amendment. She will neutralize it, and then she'll start collecting all of America's firearms, their weapons, and our ability to defend ourselves. And certainly, if you remember, back in the UK or any other country like China or Russia, the citizens are called subjects. And the reason they're subjects is because they have no ability to protect themselves. They have no firepower. They have no weapons. And we are citizens in this country because we have the equal rights of the Second Amendment to protect ourselves. And that was the reason that the Founding Fathers put that Second Amendment in there. It's just as important as the First Amendment. And I guarantee you, I will stand and I will die for my country for those 2 First Amendments, First Amendment and the Second Amendment, because without them, we will no longer have a constitutional republic.
Now, let's take a little time here, and I'm very saddened that you are on the program for the last time for months. Explain to my audience the fun, frivolity, and all the interesting excursions that you're going to be taking over the next little bit.
Yes, I'm going to, actually I have a sheet that I'm going to be asking citizens across the country, and I'm interviewing them across the country. what they think about immigration, both legal and illegal, what they think about Muslim immigration into our country. I'm going to be interviewing these people at coffee shops everywhere across the country. I'm going coast to coast. And the one thing about bicycle travel, it's simple, it's quiet, it's magical, it's physical, and it really allows my body, mind, and spirit to just coalesce into what I call pedal bliss.
Mm-hmm.
And I know most people that have ridden a bicycle, you remember as a kid, you just had so much fun on your bicycle. Or if you love swimming, or if you love skiing, or if you love going hunting, or if you love going on a hike, even if you love macrame, I really celebrate all forms of adventure. And for some reason, bicycle touring around the world for me has been a magical carpet ride where I get to move right along at what I call the perfect speed, and it gives my mind and my spirit just great joy every day. And whether it's mountains, or whether it's plains, or whether it's desert, or whether it's camping on a lake, or camping on a river, or wherever, I enjoy the camaraderie of nature. I enjoy the physicality of moving my body. And in the end, I also enjoy just getting to talk with people and have just amazing events happen along the way. Kindness, extraordinary people on their own journeys. All of that comes together in bicycling, and it's really quite a joy. So that's what it's all about. So pick your favorite sport, pick your favorite activity, and when you get so much joy from that, then you understand what I get out of my pedal bliss. Every cell in my body is just jumping up for joy every day that I get to pedal my bicycle through the world and see the sights and sit by a campfire. So I hope I kind of described it as well as possible. That's what I'll be doing for the next almost 3 months now.
Now, wait a minute. I take issue with some of the phrasing like pedal bliss. And the only reason I take issue with that is that yesterday on my tour to my physical therapist for my hip, they put me in this machine that simulates a bicycle, and for many, many minutes at an extended period of absolute pain, I would not call it pedal bliss.
Well, everybody gets to pick their poison, Zeb, and I get to pick mine.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, you got the wheels off the bike, and I suggest that you make sure after this phone call you don't forget that they're not tightened up, and you're all set to go. So are we going to hear from you at all over the next 3 months, or are you going to be just absolutely with a scraggly beard like Charlie Daniels just going around the country?
Yeah, I'll just be going around the country. I've got a cell phone, but you can never guarantee the cell phone. I'll be out in the middle of the sticks, but I'll give you some calls at the house there and just say hi and tell you what's going on.
All right. Well, listen, go take the wrenches and tighten everything up. And I want to say this, and I mean this, to a dear friend. God's blessings and safety to you on your trip, and I can't wait to have you back on here and explain everything that happened.
It's going to be a great ride, and thank you very much, and I'll be back. And all of you listening to the Zeb Bell at the Ranch show, I love you, I care about you, I think about you all, and we're all Americans. We're going to keep working towards saving our country, saving our culture, saving this nation for all of our citizens, red, white, black, brown, or yellow. This is America. We need to protect our country and all of our fellow citizens. And I just, God bless you all, and we'll see you probably in September. All
right, my dear friend. God bless. Take care. Frosty Woldridge in Golden, Colorado, a dear, dear friend. Thank you very much. Oh, my, we've got to pay some bills here real quick. Don't forget Redder Showcase, 2611 Overland in Burley with their annual Memorial Day sale. Starts tomorrow on the 25th and goes all the way through Memorial Day on the 30th. My goodness, special hours and all kinds of great buys like a queen adjustable bed starting at just $10.99. And listen to this, Serta queen set starting at just $3.99. Oh, my goodness, with up to 12 months, same as cash. On approved credit with Guy Redder and the crew at Redder Showcase, 2611 Overland in Burley. Also, I want to remind you that when you look outside today and you see the clouds, don't forget better days are on the way. Sunshine, blue skies, get up in the hills and enjoy Idaho's country on a four-wheeler from Let's Ride. Oh, yeah. Suzuki's are now just 0% financing. How are you going to beat that? You can't. You better get over there and check out the great selection. They're located at 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Let's Ride. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., and they're ready with the best in accessories, great service department. It's all there. It's where the fun is sold. Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 in Rupert. Oh, you know what? This next guest, I absolutely am excited to have him on my program, and I hope he's listening to these opening remarks because come to find out, his birthday and my birthday are on the same day. We could be twins, even though I'm 5 years younger than him. He was born on October 2nd in Oklahoma, and he's known as the world's only irritational speaker. A good morning to Larry Winget. Good morning, Larry. How are you?
Hey, I'm always good. It's good to be Larry Winget.
Well, I've watched you on television. I've heard you on television many, many times. And honestly, I think you and I are joined at the lip. We share the same personality and attitude.
There you go.
Larry, tell us a little bit about your background as a public speaker and some of the things that you try to tell America. We're getting off track. What are you telling America?
I tell America that your life's your own damn fault. I've been doing this for a long time. I've written 6 New York Times, Wall Street Journal bestsellers. I've been speaking professionally for 25 years. I've done 400 of the Fortune 500 companies. I've been all over the world. I've had my own television show, 2 PBS specials, 2 CNBC specials, and that's my central theme. Your life is your own fault. Now, that's based in responsibility, and people have got to learn to take responsibility, and that's where we are off track as a country, as a society, as parents, and that's where we get off track with our business. We need to realize that we caused the mess that we are living, and it's up to us to fix it.
All right, that's the question right now of today. With this administration for the last 7.5 years in kind of a very liberalized sense, and the PC crowd, and then also looking at possibly, I hope not, Hillary becoming president with more of the same, how can we get the train back on the tracks again?
Well, the first thing we need to do is walk up and look ourselves in the eye in the mirror and say, you know, we created this mess. I'm tired of people complaining about the government. We voted them in, and it's up to us to vote them out. And it amazes me how few people really vote. We're great at complaining. We're not so good at voting. So that's the first thing we do. But we also have to take responsibility for our families and for our own lives. You know, it's ridiculous and it's hypocritical to tell our government to get their spending under control when, as individuals, we don't have our spending under control. You can't tell the government to spend less money than they take in when 40% of Americans spend more money than they earn. So individually, we have to get back in control of our lives.
You know, Larry, let's take it from the ground level with the kids and the families. Where in the world did we go wrong? I'm a product of the 40s. You were born in 1952. My dad was very strict with me and laid the law down on the back seat of my Wranglers. What happened to parents that we've got this mess with kids today?
Well, we stopped being as involved when we started becoming those helicopter parents who tried to protect our kids from everything. We forgot that our generation learned from consequences, and consequences were very clearly laid out for us and imposed upon us. And consequences drive behavior. When you take the consequences away, then behavior runs amok. And that's what we've done. As parents, we've pulled back the consequences. Our school systems have pulled back the consequences. And again, school systems are the parents' fault because we vote those people in, we pay the taxes that pay for them, and we've got to take control of our schools back again. So it all goes back to consequences and our ability, our willingness to impose them, to communicate them, and to make sure that those consequences are very, very clear so our children learn from them. We don't have any learning going on right now. I did a story yesterday on the news about student loan debt. 20% of student loans are not spent on education. They're spent on partying and electronics and everything in the world except tuition and books and all that stuff. Now, that's a parent's responsibility because probably they signed that loan to step in and make sure they're involved in that. And it's our responsibility to train our kids so they feel the consequences of that stupidity so they change their behavior later so they don't become irresponsible homeowners and credit card holders and so forth.
You know, these kids today, the millennials, and certainly not all of them. I was at a function a couple of weeks ago where I was inducted into a Hall of Fame, and a lot of the teenagers and early 20-year-olds were there, and boy, they've got their life in order, and they really have a plan. But the millennials, being led by the nose, by liberal college professors, leave it in the ground, no more energy, can't do this, can't do that. How are we going to overcome the education system that really is leading them astray?
Well, again, it's going to come back to parental responsibility and us stepping up and saying we're not going to tolerate that. We're not going to pay your salaries, and we're not going to send our kids to those kinds of colleges. Now, that's going to be a slow process. That doesn't change overnight, and right now it's just talk because a few of us are complaining about it. But that is the education they are getting, and it's just a darn shame. It's going to be a long time for us to turn that around, but until we do, we've got to make sure that in our families and in our homes and growing up that the kids learn that it's okay to listen to that stuff, but always go back to your core values of what makes sense. That's where we're off track, in my opinion. We're not teaching our kids core values.
Larry, we've seen so many things come up and basically alter the family unit, and now we're seeing all the liberal left with the gay lesbian movement and now the transgenders. What are your thoughts about this? To me, it's just another way to dislocate the backbone of America. What are your thoughts on this?
You know, my heart goes out to anybody who is put down for who they are and what they are, and I understand their point of view about this. I really do. But I really believe that it's going to come back to a little bit more of a libertarian stance where if it doesn't personally affect you, we need to leave people alone. That rights are something that all of us have. And we all have the right to live our lives as long as it does not impose our rights on somebody else. And so I would ask that the LGBT as well as the opposing side start to be more reasonable. The sad thing for me on that issue and most issues is that we've become so polarized. We have the extreme right versus the extreme left. And both of those groups are so wacky sometimes you just go, oh my God, you're not even making sense here. Common sense and communication can fix the bulk of this issue. We don't have to legalize and illegalize everything. There doesn't have to be a law for everything that comes up. We can have a conversation and do what makes sense.
Larry, in your opinion, and I've watched you on TV, like I said, many, many times, and I really appreciate your value system, what about the American incentive to achieve? I just think it's lacking, and I think it's kind of faded in the background. What are your thoughts?
Well, I totally agree with you. I do think that we've kind of lost that incentive to go out there and bust our butts and be as much as we possibly can. Many times when I speak around the country and around the world, I kind of end with this whole thing. Why should we do this? Why should we work this hard? Why should we constantly strive? And it all comes down to three words: because you can. I really think to live your life and be less than you possibly can, to earn less than you can, to do less than you can, to be less than you can, that's a slap in the face to who you are. And that's part of what we need to remind our kids. If you can do it, you should be doing it. That's a core value that I think we have lost, that I really like to stress with folks. You do your best because you can do your best. There are so many people who would love the opportunity, who have real challenges, not these whiny challenges that most people make up, but have real challenges, who would love the opportunity to be able to do what most of us in society can do. And to not be your very best and do the most, To me, that's just a sad, pitiful state. I would encourage every parent to tell their kids that it is their obligation to live life and to their very fullest and to exploit their abilities as best they possibly can in every way.
When you go around the country and speak at various functions or even on television for an interview, do you feel that Americans today really don't realize and appreciate what they've been given to them, handed down by generations, to live in this, the best country anywhere in the world?
I do think we've lost that appreciation. You talked about us being about the same age. When I remember being in grade school, elementary school, and we were reminded about, and maybe it's because we were so close to the Korean War and World War II, but we were constantly reminded about the people who fought and died for our right and our ability to do everything. And I remember we stood and did the Pledge of Allegiance together, and it was every single day how we started our day, and it was a constant reminder, and our teachers emphasized how proud we should be of our country and who we are and what we've been able to do. I don't see that anymore.
What do you think the chances are of getting rid of the PC attitude, the political correctness, and replacing it with what I've heard you talk about many times, common sense?
I think there's a shot. Again, I think it's going to take us some time. I do think it's going to come back to individuals teaching their kids and practicing it in their own families and starting to make that important to them. I think that we have lost our ability to speak directly about any issue simply because we're so afraid of offending someone, and we have forgotten the fact, and I mean it's a fact, that there are some people looking every day. They wake up with their central purpose in life to figure out a way to be offended. And if we cater to those people, then we are going to lose what makes sense in our country. And that's where we are right now. We are catering to the few instead of making sure that the many get their way. I mean, when you go into a restaurant and you have to make so sure that there's a gluten-free option when only 0.7% of people are gluten-free. But we're changing the way every restaurant operates. When a man can't sit in his own house and smoke a cigar because somebody next door is going to be offended by the possible odor. I mean, we have gotten to the ridiculous on all of this stuff, and it's insane.
Larry, saying that, what do you think about the encroachment, and it is an encroachment in my own personal opinion, of big government trying to take over, establish, and control everything we do 24/7? What are your thoughts about big government?
Well, I think the market rules, and I think that government ought to stay out of business, and companies are never too big to fail. And that's what capitalism is all about. And I don't need government in my business in any way, shape, or form. If I choose to exclude people from coming in my place based on my beliefs, that is my right to do so. If I choose to own a bar and I say, this bar, you have to smoke. Enjoy your cigar over there. I think I ought to have the right to do that without government encroaching on that. I think if I want to choose to live my life in a certain way, and as long as that does not impact anyone else, I ought to have the right to do that. And constant government intervention and meddling is what it really comes down to. And getting in everyone's business because somehow a handful of people think they know better what is good for me than I know what is good for me is something that we're going to have to push back against.
You know, Larry, all your books, and there are many, tell my audience how they can learn more about you and your writing, and also, are you doing any public speaking up in the Northwest?
Well, I do a lot of professional speaking up in the Northwest. As far as public, I don't do too much of that. Most of my speaking, I've been hired for a particular group. I don't do a lot of public seminars. I'm easy to find. I am very active on social media. People can follow me on Facebook at Larry Winget fan page, where, believe me, we mix it up every day. You can find any of my books in any bookstore. With 6 bestsellers, every bookstore should have them. You can also find out more about me on my website at larrywingate.com. See most of my television appearances there. I got lots of interviews that are on there in my video vault, so I am easy to find out anything you want to know about.
I really enjoyed having you on the program this morning, and I hope I can have you back again in the future. Larry Wingate from now Arizona, God's blessings to you, and thanks for being on the show this morning.
I appreciate you having me. Call anytime. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. There's a man that's a pretty doggone straight shooter, and originally out of Muskogee, Oklahoma. Yes, we were born on the same day, October 2nd, and he a little bit younger than I am, but I really enjoyed listening to him. A common sense approach to what needs to be done in this country, not only to get back to the basics, but to just be honoring our mothers and our fathers and our family situations, and kids learning respect. Learning respect. I like him. I'm going to have him back on the program in the future, Larry Wingate. You'll see him on TV many, many times, I'm sure. We've got to get a weather forecast in here right now, and the weather is brought to you by our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, an air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Call them at 678-0459 and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric can save you money. Here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast as we are into pretty much the last week of May as we are working our way towards the Memorial Day weekend. We do have a slight chance of rain showers this morning, and winds are going to be out of the west, right around 9 miles an hour. High of 63 tonight, low of 43. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high of 66 with an overnight low of 43. Pretty much the same for Thursday and Friday. Mostly sunny skies. Highs are going to be in the mid to upper 60s. By Saturday, maybe a few morning rain showers and a high of 62, and then back to sunny skies and almost 70 for Sunday. That's your weather for Zebeth Duran.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you very much. Brought to you by Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox with their home comfort systems. Don't forget, call them today at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, saving you money. How about some calls? Did you like Larry Wingate? There's a guy that he and I can really relate. I've got exactly the same kind of an opinion and attitude as he does, and it's time to clean up the mess, starting with the parents, starting in the schools, and installing respect for our flag, our Constitution, and our daily lives. What are your thoughts on that? Give me a call. Come on. Hurry to the telephone. I know many of you, you're dialing right now, 436-2244 or 1-866-927-4587. Come on, give me a call. I really do want to hear from you. A couple of things while I'm waiting for your call. First of all, Thursday is Lunch Bunch at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley. And, of course, we're going to have gift certificates from Smith's Foods, Hanson Mortuary, Walmart, and Stokes Groceries. Don't miss it. 11:30 at Denny's Restaurant. It's going to be Lunch Bunch this Thursday at 11:30. Don't miss it. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
You know, Zeb, last night I was watching O'Reilly, and he was talking about the 95% of the children at school. And it's your children, whether or not it's girl or boy, but especially the girls. And he was interviewing Kirsten Powers, who at times seems to be somewhat logical. And last night she said she couldn't see how it would be a problem that a male would come in and shower in the same showers with your daughters, your female. And she was just almost red-faced mad, defending it, and she says, how is it that we can't, allow the 0.3% or whatever, LGBT, whatever, to do this? And then he kept saying, well, what about the 95% of our children that are the victims that are going to be potentially exposed? It was like, it was insanity. She made absolutely no sense. She even said something about if they were standing there naked, if I'm not mistaken, that it was not to be offensive. And I'm saying, how in the hell can you sit there, any liberal, and tell me this is logical and you can defend this? The society has gone insane.
Randy, there is no defense of the stupid liberal mindset. There is no defense. There is no compassion. There is no absolute base of reality to these people, because they are destroying the moral fabric of a country that was developed and has lived on for over 250 years, a value system, and they're destroying it. And quite frankly, it's our fault because we're not saying no.
Well, yesterday I just kind of was over Pacific Recycling and Steel, the business in Bury that is going to close on Friday. And it's going to be gone. And it's going to affect me, and it's going to definitely affect everybody that was working there. And 3 gentlemen came up. One was a farmer, and I guess is his friends. And I started to kind of go off about, we need to involve ourselves. We need a government of the people, by the people, for the people. It isn't going to work if we don't do something. I says, what do you think? And they all basically said we were screwed. And some of them didn't use that word. And so I says, well, what are we going to do about it? We can't just idly act like we're helpless. Well, basically, it's always the same thing. It's like, well, what can we do? There's nothing we can do. Nothing's going to change. And I say, when we have that attitude, I just soon run my motorcycle into a wall about 90 and be done. My life isn't my life. God gave me my life, and it's not my right to take it.
Oh, here's the thing, and I get really mad, and I'm teetering on mad right now, when people say there's nothing we can do. My goodness, Randy, I get up every morning at 3:45 and put together these programs with guests like, the previous guest, Larry Wingett, a man that's got the value system, a man that has the respect for our Constitution and our country, parents and kids and everything else. We've got to fight back, and I get a little bit sick and tired when somebody sits in an easy chair, calls me on the phone, and says, you do it, Zeb. Well, what about them? The lazy part of our society that really has let this happen, Randy.
I don't know. I don't know what we got to... My son gets mad because sometimes I kind of go off. I'm dramatic. I do it on purpose. Try to get some sort of reaction. Even if they want to slug me in the mouth, I says, well, at least you thought. At least you are willing to do something.
Yep.
Maybe you'll go home and actually think about what is happening instead of this attitude like we are helpless. Again, we can't do it alone. I am just me. I am nobody.
Well, it's kind of like this morning earlier, Randy, we were talking about political correctness being so stupid. And it is stupid. I mean, to the point where they said, they don't want you to buy the Lego sets in the Star Wars because they have the galaxy weapons and everything. I'm almost tempted to go shopping on my day off Friday and buy some extra gun and holster sets and invite my neighbors over, and we'll play Cowboys and Indians like we did when we were little.
I tell you what, we have gone... A year ago, I didn't even know what LGBT meant. I heard that acronym, and I said, what is that? And then they explained it to me, and now we're talking about it nationally every day.
Yeah.
And you see, it's such a shame because the poor, innocent children are not allowed to be children anymore, to ride their bikes, to play in this grass, to play with Barbie dolls.
Yeah.
Barbie dolls have to be black or Hispanic, which is fine. I love them. That's fine. I love all people that are willing to stand up and fight for what is right. But when our children are suffering...
Yeah, I agree with you, Randy. I got another call waiting, and I do say thank you for your call this morning, as always. Caller good number 2, go ahead. You're on the air, please.
Good morning, Zeb. Randy made a good point. People saying, nothing I can do. What can we do? Anybody can do anything that sets their mind to. there's a 12-year-old child out of Oakley that got with Senator Kelly Anthony to get flag education back in the school.
Absolutely.
Child.
Absolutely.
So all we need to do is get off our dead butts and go forward, and we can move them out.
Doesn't that infuriate you? It does me. It makes me mad, and I don't care if somebody's offended by that. I get really mad when somebody calls me on the phone and says, well, Zeb, here's what you need to do on your program. You need to talk about this. You need to get so-and-so on the program. And right there, I stop the conversation and I say, wait a minute. Why don't you do something too? Why always pass the buck to somebody else? You know, if society all jumped up and said no, maybe Washington would start listening to us.
Yeah, I know Adam, my grandson, is one that got the flag deal and was coming back voice, and he said, Grandpa, we need to get that back into school. And I turned around to him and I said, Adam, that's your job. And he bowed his neck and determined, and by then he got it done.
You bet your life. George, I appreciate that call. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, sir. Yeah, if you want to be politically correct, you have that option. It avails itself to you in this country. But don't expect me to be politically correct. I liked playing Cowboys and Indians as a little boy. I liked throwing snowballs. I liked those guns with the plastic balls and the spring load, and you could shoot them at your sister or your neighbor or whatever. I don't care if that's not politically correct. I liked it. As a matter of fact, I kind of wished I had one of those right now. Anyhow, don't forget Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. All your life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. Oh my goodness, they are very, very thoughtful and caring and accessible to working and helping you. All you have to do is give them a call for an appointment, 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Really nice people. Well, lo and behold, guess who walked into the house just moments ago? Why, he is a stranger in a strange land. Nobody's stranger than he is, Dr. History. And he'll be up this next half hour, and looking forward to having him on the program. We did hear, however, that Zach is not going to be available this morning. We were kind of hoping Zach from Minnecasia Sales could be with us, and he's not going to be able to make it on the program. But Dr. History is here. So all is well in History Land. We're going to send this back over to Wheels for about 7 minutes, and then we're going to come back with Dr. History. And then at 10:30 this morning, we have, let's see, Patty Shockey's going to be on the air talking about the Minnecasia Relay for Life for 2016. So we got a lot of things coming up. Don't go away. Zeb at the Ranch. I'll be back. I guess that's my cue to go ahead and say good morning. Good morning, hour number 3. Zeb at the Ranch, and of course our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, and some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today, 734-6969. By the way, before we get started with our segment, I want to remind you we have another segment on Thursdays that is called Cassia County School Days, sponsored by A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. And they've got everything for the babies. And grandparents today, Tuesday, is Discount Grandparents Day. Oh, you can go in and just buy up a storm at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. And also Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. I almost said the wrong street. And, of course, they've got the only machine in all the Magic Valley that can help correct glaucoma. And their doctors that serve you there take Regents Blue Shield Insurance. Ambulatory Surgery Center, 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley, 677-8888. Okay, it is time right now for the one, the only, world-famous, 112 countries are in listenership right now to this man's silver-throated tones. Here he is, Dr. History. Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good.
Let me just say, brought to you by Minnecasia Sales at 1321 East Main in Burley. Zach was going to try to be with us this morning, and didn't work out, but we are going to get him on the program hopefully next week.
Sounds good.
What are you going to bless us with today?
Well, we're going to
turn that microphone up just a little bit?
We're going to talk about a good friend of ours named George Armstrong Custer.
Now, when you say good friend, let's qualify that, because I honestly think he was an egotistical maniac and not the brightest bulb in the fixture.
We're going to get into this, okay? We're not going to talk about the Battle of the Little Bighorn. That's for another day. So this is going to be General Custer the man. We're going to talk about him, okay? So here's the questions I'm going to pose. Was General George Armstrong Custer as flamboyant, arrogant, and one-dimensional as history has portrayed? Was Custer the Civil War hero and Plains cavalryman a defender of the Indians? So, question, was there another side to Custer that we sometimes neglect? So, you're just going to have to make your decision based on what we're going to talk about.
Well, paint that picture.
That's what we're going to do. So, we know General George Armstrong Custer loved the limelight. He was also a man of apparent contradictions. He was generous to a fault on one occasion, yet petty on another. Driven to seek wealth, he actually tried some get-rich-quick schemes that
I want to try that again.
Get rich quick.
That's better.
That didn't work out. He would actually cry openly over the loss of a favorite dog.
Cry?
Yeah, or over a sad play, or he could laugh uncontrollably over something that just struck him funny. Now, and here we go. He could kill a man without a second's regret, but was willing to risk his life to save a stray animal. Now, at times the general could be as just a pompous individual.
Remember, this is a family show.
That's why I said pompous individual. As modern as just like a modern day rock star, he was especially vain about his clothing and his appearance.
Really? He was that fussy?
Oh yeah, even in the battlefield, he dressed spectacular. So
didn't do him much good, did it?
It didn't. But it appears that he was either loved or hated by his men and his superiors.
Right.
He was one or the other. And, in fact, General Ulysses S. Grant referred to him as a strutting peacock.
Okay.
So picture that.
Anyway, I have.
Okay. So no one, however, not even his harshest critics, questioned his valor on the field or the things he did during the Civil War. The press, newspapers called him the Boy General.
The Boy General.
You've heard that.
Yeah.
But not the brightest guy in his class. He graduated last.
Oh, really?
In his class
Out
at
of
West
how many
Point.
thousand?
I don't know. But, in battle, he earned a reputation for being a gallant, if not reckless, warrior. He was also known as a zealous Indian fighter and also a shameless self-promoter.
I see.
So, but what many don't know...
Are you talking about Obama, or are you talking...
But, what many don't know is that George Armstrong Custer, the Civil War hero, Indian fighter, had a great respect for the Native American Indians, especially the Plains Indians.
It didn't come across that way.
No, and he was actually their outspoken defender. He actually defended them.
You're kidding me.
No, but courageously he put his rising military career in a serious jeopardy when he exposed the rampant corruption so prevalent in both Washington and on the frontier. In the 1870s, defending the Indians publicly, especially as an Army officer, that was not a good thing to do. That was not very wise.
Kind of job suicide.
Yeah, shooting yourself in the foot, so to speak.
Yeah.
But anyway, he violated the unwritten code of the U.S. Army officer by speaking against his military and political leaders, especially the President of the United States.
Was this over things like maybe treaties that were disregarded and that type of thing?
Yes.
I see.
In fact, he was relieved of his command over this, of what he was saying. So, as out of character as it might seem for a man known as an Indian fighter, George Armstrong Custer, and he actually had a nickname, Oddie. Had you ever heard that?
I think it was a movie, and help me because you're old like I am, but there was a movie, what was the actor years and years back in the 30s and 40s that portrayed General Custer, and he was of British descent and he had a little thin mustache. And they called him Audie in that movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't, but that's a nickname that I was not familiar with.
Yeah.
But actually, he had a soft spot for the Indians.
Really?
His admiration certainly didn't keep him from making war, nor on occasion from wiping out a settlement or two that got in his way, but he had an appreciation of and a fascination for Indians, and he actually admired their way of life.
Really?
And he viewed the Native Americans as romantic, noble savages. And
that's kind of an oxymoron, isn't it?
It is. This might be a good time to take a break, and then we'll get on with the rest of it.
I will jump right in. Do not forget Minnecasia Sales at 1321 East Main Street in Burley. Zack Attack. Zach's over there to serve you along with all the crew at Minnecasia Sales. All your lumber. Are you pretty good at building things?
Not bad.
Not bad.
I can get along, yeah.
So if you buy a board and a nail, you know what to do with it.
I know what to do.
Oh, okay. And they've got all your lumber packages, and can you put a roof on?
With baling twine and duct tape.
No, I'm talking about really good shingles, either metal or asphalt. You can do that, right?
Sure.
Okay. And, of course, all the Western windows, they've got it all for you over at Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley. I hope Zach can make it here next week. We got to get him on the program because they sponsor Dr. History. And now, with more about General George Custer, here's Dr. History.
All right. He actually felt that war was a glorious adventure.
Oh, really?
He loved it. On one occasion, he told another officer, he said that he could easily be an Indian, and he meant it. He said that if he were an Indian, he'd be with the free-roaming tribes, fighting to the death before submitting to a reservation.
You're kidding.
That's how
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but he was understandably...
He should have wore feathers on his bad day.
That might have helped. But he was also appalled by the way the Indians were treated on reservations, or contained Indians, if you want to call it that, who no longer followed the game herds, and they were at the mercy of these dishonest Indian agents.
There were a lot of them.
Yeah, and dishonest government officials. The government handouts to the reservations were often, the food was bad, moldy, rotten food, and the corrupt agents who basically got rich by selling this on the black market, so to speak. But he was also aware of how government officials had broken their word, and we've talked about that time and time again on treaties.
You're not talking about Obama's.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
But he felt that if the government was going to keep tribes on reservations, it needed a fair, consistent policy for better treatment, and, this is the kicker, honest men to oversee it. That was the difficulty.
Okay.
So Custer, like his superiors, Generals Sheridan and Sherman, argued that the Bureau of Indian Affairs, which was currently under the Department of the Interior, should be referred to the War Department. The soldiers were only too aware that Indian Affairs was kind of a slippery and a corrupt thing that was going on and causing more problems than it solved.
I'll be darned.
So if Indian Affairs were under the War Department, which according to him was far less corrupt, a little more honest,
really,
that the problems would be contained and taken care of better. So, but
why didn't the Army jump in and say, that's it, adios?
You know, I guess because of the hierarchy, the chain of command, they were probably kind of bound. They couldn't do that.
Or was he kind of a pawn?
That's a good question. That's a good question. But, you know, think about it. You know, if you're a starving Indian, you're more likely to break loose from the reservation and cause problems.
Absolutely.
And who would blame warriors for trying to feed their families?
Absolutely.
The Army knew that this was what was going on, and they knew what was best for the Indians to keep them fed and taken care of. Well, in the summer of 1875, 1876, George and his wife Elizabeth, they called her Libby Custer, spent 4 months vacationing in the East. They visited visited friends, they ate fancy dinners, attended parties, and they went to the theater. Now, George was somewhat of a celebrity, a status that he totally enjoyed.
I'll bet he
loved this.
Turn the lights on, here's George.
Yes. Now, his military activities, as well as his books, he actually wrote some books, and adventure articles helped keep him in the public eye.
Didn't do the bad job for being the dumbest one in the class.
He knew how to, yeah. But at one point, he and his wife entertained an offer to actually go on the lecture circuit for $250 a presentation.
Now, that's pretty good back in those days.
Yeah, $250, and you're right, this was a lot of money, but they turned it down.
Really?
That wasn't his thing.
Like
I say, he really was a true warrior, But anyway, on their trips to the East, Custer and his wife were careful to make connections.
What was her name?
Libby.
Libby.
Yeah, Elizabeth. But they made connections with important Democrats. And Custer secretly hoped
that was their downfall.
Well, wait, get this. He hoped that he might be drafted as a candidate for the fall presidential election.
I told you they joined with Obama. I told you that.
He wanted to be president. So anyway, that's why his notoriety from his summer campaigns was so important to him. He wanted to make a big impression.
All right.
So at the least, if President Grant was defeated, he could expect to be made a brigadier general under a new president.
Yeah.
And it was no secret that he was a confirmed Democrat with political aspirations.
Mm-hmm.
And as an expert on Indian affairs, specifically Indian and reservation policy, Indian agents and traders, and the consequences of the government corruption, he would have been a good advocate. He really would have been. Yeah. So, in fact, because of some of his controversial things, he actually came before the Committee on Indian Affairs. Now, Custer did more than answer questions. He elaborated in great detail. A good portion of his testimony was first-hand observations of the bad things that he had experienced after 10 years on the plains. And he was blunt. He was direct. He didn't mess around. Other parts of his testimony were pretty bad. He didn't fail to mention names. Now, this may have been a downfall because he implicated Orville Grant, the president's brother, whom he said shared in the corrupt profits at the expense of the Indians.
People have a tendency to get teed off.
Yeah. And anyway, that's kind of the scene we're looking at right now. The politically wanting to get ahead, but yet kind of not in a good situation. But anyway, the political fallout for President Grant was immense. President Grant was absolutely livid. He was so mad that one of his officers would say things like this, even though they were true.
Yeah.
So Custer left Washington for his regiment, was called back. Grant couldn't erase the testimony that he said, but he could relieve him of his command. So here's a shattered Custer. He tried to meet with the president, but he would not see him.
Okay, so is he a general at this point?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. So General Custer appealed to his superiors, General Sherman and Sheridan.
They didn't like him either.
Well, maybe a little better.
I see.
Not too bad. But anyway, he appealed to them, and because they were close friends of the president, President Grant.
I see.
So anyway, he wrote a note to the president, Custer did, and he said, "I appeal to you as a soldier to spare me the humiliation of seeing my regiment march to meet the enemy, and I not share its dangers."
Yeah, but wait a minute. The president owed him absolutely no favors.
No, absolutely not, especially what he'd said,
Yeah.
Well, finally, President Grant actually did reinstate him as general.
He did.
Yeah.
Because he might have thought that was a good way to get rid of him.
That could have been behind the scenes, yes.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Send him to Montana!
Yeah, so his activities would be somewhat limited. Now, he did aspire to political office, or at least military advancement, but it would be wrong to think that he acted out of purely political motives.
Yeah.
And you can see by what I'm saying that he did have some good motives behind what he did, but the general didn't think things through very carefully. And
we noticed that.
Yeah, and in the recent Civil War, he led a number of dangerous charges against the enemy. He had at least 11 horses shot out from under him.
Did he ever get shot and wounded?
I don't believe so. No, but when he saw an enemy, he charged. And as we know, he didn't plan. But he was always at the front. So you got to say this guy was
Stupid.
Courageous, stupid, I don't know. But he was always in the lead, bullets whizzing around his head, reckless, determined, and he did what he thought was true, and he never looked back. So I got to hand it to him in that respect.
Up to a point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
he did endanger all
others.
those lives.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, we sit here right now, and it's easy to pass judgment after most of the facts are in. But, Custer bashing, if you want to call it that. But, we've got to give him a little leeway here. But he was no more or no less than a fancy, well-dressed lightning rod.
Really?
President Grant, General Sherman, General Sheridan really were more guilty than he was regarding how they treated the Indians.
I got a question there, though, Doc, and we got about 6 minutes left. What about the Indians' attitude towards Custer? You made it sound earlier like there was a respect for him on what he was trying to do for them, but yet, boy, they wiped him out.
Yeah, and as you know, there's so many different tribes, and I don't know this for sure, but I'm guessing that there were probably some tribes and some Indians that did respect him and knew that he was a man of his word. And I'm just guessing on that. So, but the fact, again, that the Army was going to go either wipe him out or put him on a reservation led to the Little Bighorn.
Yeah.
So, but George Armstrong Custer is a symbol, and yes, he was a glory hound. He participated in some pretty brutal campaigns, but nevertheless, we need to keep in mind that he was a soldier following orders from superior officers.
Yeah.
And he was no more or less brutal or bloody with the Indians than any number of his other commanding officers that history has kind of chosen to lay at rest. In other words, he's the one that stands out, but there were other guys that did a lot more bad things, if you want to say, to the Indians than Custer ever did.
Well, yeah, but the caveat there, though, is, in my estimation, he defied orders and defied logic and was basically in the battle at the Little Bighorn for only his own glory.
Pretty much, yeah. But, unlike many of his associates, he did advocate humane and fair treatment for his, quote, enemy after they were brought into submission.
Really?
He really wanted to take care of the Indians. And
That's like we take care of you every time you show up here.
Every time I come out here.
Yeah.
You give me some water.
Yeah.
But, we take comfort in blaming Custer for the nation's treatment of Native Indians, Native Americans. He paid a heavy price for those sins, of course, at the Little Bighorn. But more correctly, he rested with decades of carelessly designed Indian policies that changed every time the political arena changed.
Really?
It would go back and forth. You would have, some political people that wanted to be fair, and then the next time you'd have people that didn't want to be fair. Are
you insinuating, and I think you are, and I agree with you, that if there would have been more Custers going against the establishment, i.e. the government, maybe the Indian problems wouldn't have been as big as they were?
I'm suggesting that.
I see.
I don't know, but that's my thoughts.
Okay.
But, the government, they subscribed to the idea that all men were created equal, but they debated whether or not the Indians had souls or were even human, and history points that out. That,
shameful, really.
Yeah, it really is. But for 75 years after his death, the general was looked upon as some sort of a holy frontier martyr. The public put him on a pedestal. Even Teddy Roosevelt called him an example for young children everywhere. Nowadays, he's come to kind of represent all that was wrong with the Western movement, and this, of course, is as wrong as making him an idol, either.
But there is the caliber of our culture today. I mean, everything has to be lockstep with the PC liberal left, and I'm glad you're bringing this stuff out.
Yeah. Well, and I guess in conclusion, it's time to take the general out, dust him off, and put him in his rightful place. George Armstrong Custer wasn't a saint, but he wasn't the devil either.
Let me ask you a question right here, and I know this is completely off of the isolated subject of General George Armstrong Custer, but what are your thoughts personally, and don't be politically correct, about the PC mobs in this country? They want to take down the statues of General Robert E. Lee. They want to take down the remembrances of Stonewall Jackson and all those. I think that's wrong. That's a part of our history.
Being a history I don't call myself an expert, but to me, we need to preserve the things of the past and remember the things of the past, the successes and the failures. If we don't, I heard it put this way, we learn from history, though we sometimes don't learn from history. And so we need to look at the past and see the things that were successful, the things that were not. And
but that was a time in our nation's history. How dare we, 150 years later, criticize their thoughts, their beliefs, their goals, and what they wanted this country to achieve? I think that's absolutely ludicrous that we would try to whitewash it.
And again, General Custer, I would love to have been around him somewhat.
Not on the last day.
Not on the last day,
nope.
but to pick his brain a little bit, and just from what I'm reading about him, he was definitely a good guy in some respects, but he had the political aspirations, and like I say, I don't think we need to paint him as a devil, but not as a saint.
Yeah, he was a man that made mistakes.
He did,
and we all do.
Look at the military throughout history. Yeah. There's been mistakes made militarily,
and a lot of illegalities.
Yeah. But I read a lot about World War II and the brave men,
absolutely.
The things that they did.
Absolutely.
They were the greatest generation.
And, we proved that by having our dear friend Russell Smith, 3 times Purple Heart recipient on this program, many, many times. Yeah. That was a very interesting dissertation. Thank you.
Well, it's just a different viewpoint, I hope, that people will see in light of George Armstrong Custer.
Of course, Dr. History is brought to you every week by Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, right across from the airport with Zach and the rest of the crew. Call them if you can't stop in today, 878-2091, Minnecasia Sales. Doc, what do you got for us real quick next week?
That's the big question. I like to leave you hanging. I don't know.
That's more honest. God bless you, man, and the best to your wife, too.
Thank you.
How's she doing?
Doing good.
Say hello to her real quick.
We will. Angie, hello.
Oh, that's touching. Deanne, hello. There we go. All right, we're going to take a little break, and I'll be right back in about 3 minutes. Don't go away.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Hi, thank you very much, and welcome back to our last segment on the program this morning. And before we go any further, don't forget again, Ramsey Heating and Electric offering rebates, I love that word, on qualified Lennox home comfort systems, whether it's a gas furnace, an air conditioner, or a heat pump. You and your family will enjoy the comfort. Call them today at 678-0459 and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric can save you money. Well, look who's on the phone. Our video cameras see her sitting there just kind of twiddling her thumbs. Good morning to Patty Shockey. How are you this morning?
I'm great. How are you doing this morning, Jeff?
Not too bad. I really want to say thank you for coming on the program this morning, because now it's a full court press leading up to the Minnecasia Relay for Life coming up on June 18th. Patty, I want to thank you for taking the time and the effort to come on the program. But what about these Relay for Lives? How did they get started to generate funding for cancer research?
Actually, it started with a doctor named Gordy Klatt. He was the inventor of the whole thing. He started this whole thing off. He had come across cancer, and he did a personal fundraiser, and he went out and he raised, I believe his first fundraiser by himself was over $11,000, and he did it all to help for the research for cancer. And he is the milestone for getting the Relay for Life started. He is an amazing man. He battled cancer, and he finally succumbed to cancer not too long ago.
With all the research and all the dollars and the donations and everything, are we making any inroads?
Oh, we have made so many inroads. It used to be that if anybody said lymphoma, it was a death sentence. And now you pray that if they diagnose you, you have lymphoma, because it is one of the easiest ones that you can be treated for and have a full recovery from. So milestones have been made. Our cancer research is amazing. We just need to make sure that we keep the funding going, because without that, we will not find a cure for cancer.
Okay, then the other side of that coin is, are we doing enough? Are we giving it enough effort? Is there enough research? Is there enough incentive for more doctors to get involved? What's going on there?
Well, right now there's several things that's before the legislature, and a couple of them have been approved, but the biggest thing we need is the funding. We have the scientists, we have the doctors, we have all of that, but we just need to make sure that the funding is there to do the research, to get these people involved, to keep them involved, and make sure that the government helps us out too, because without the bills being passed in the legislature, we cannot personally raise enough money to find that cure that everybody needs. Cancer is not just a cancer, it's several. There is multitudes of cancers that's out there, and so it doesn't take just one cure, it takes multiple cures to whip this.
Yeah, no, let me ask you this, Patty, and it's been kind of a pet peeve with me, and tell me if I'm right, wrong, or indifferent. Of course, I was a product of the 40s, and then in the early 50s came down with polio, just literally days before the Salk vaccine was finalized. And are we doing enough to really push through the research on various medicines, etc., or are they being held up with politics?
There's always a glitch in the politics. Some people are totally for, working towards different things. But like I said, the biggest thing here is we do have the support from the government. We just need to make sure they don't cut the funding, and so that we raise our portion to help with that funding. And it's something that everyone can do, and you can do it any day of the week. It's not just once a year. It's every day of the year that you can do this. There's so many good programs out there, and the American Cancer Society is one of the best because they look for funding and the cure for everything, not just a certain one. It is for all cancers.
How would you respond and answer this, Patty? Why is there so much more diversified, different cancers today than there were back in great-granddad's day? Was it that we didn't know how to detect it or give it a name back then, or is it more prevalent today?
I think there's more prevalence today, but the fact of it is back in our granddad's day, they didn't do an autopsy, and even if they found something, it was a mass, natural causes. They didn't give it a name. And now everything has been so clarified that it has a name, and it has a reason, and it has a cause, and it's totally different. But I really truly believe that there is more cancers out there because of the chemicals and different things that more people are exposed to versus when your granddad was alive. There wasn't the things that are components that can cause cancer as much.
Now, what about the funding for the Relay for Life? Does almost all of the money stay in the state of Idaho for the chapters to help support cancer here? What happens to the money?
The money that is raised for any relay is used for research, whether the research happens in Idaho or wherever any of it is taking place. There is a large portion of it that is being used in the state of Idaho just for research. And most of the ACS money is used in the research process. It's not like there is programs where you can get assistance for rides, but there's so many of the things that happens outside of the research is volunteers. There's a huge network of volunteers that work with the ACS every day that will drive cancer patients from here to Twin Falls, take them to their chemotherapy, and then drive them home. And these people do this out of the goodness of their hearts. It is people that have experienced cancer or seen cancer, and they just want to share and help these other ones that cannot provide that service for themselves because they're either too ill or they don't have the funding to do that.
You know, it would be a challenge, I think, to run into someone or some family today that in some respect has not been touched by cancer. Would you disagree with me?
No, I totally agree with you. I cannot think of one single family that I personally know that does not know someone who has had or has cancer at this stage of the game. It is a prevalent disease right now. It runs, cancer doesn't care how old you are, how young you are. It's everywhere. I've seen so many more cases in our junior high and high school kids, too, and it's there, and we just need to get that addressed and get it taken care of.
Okay, now, why, if I may be personal, did you get involved in the Minnecasia Relay for Life?
My first experience, I went to the Rupert Square about the second year after it had started, and I witnessed a young girl. She was probably 7 years old, who came out of Salt Lake that had cancer in her shoulder. And they had done treatment, and she was doing fairly well. She made the survivor's lap, and it just touched me. The next year I went back, I got involved and went back. The same girl walked, but she had lost her arm to cancer.
Oh, my.
And not too long after that, she passed away.
Oh, no.
And I've known so many family members, relatives, friends. It's just something that touches everyone, and I personally believe that we need to get to the grassroots of this thing and get rid of it.
Let's talk a little bit about the actual event that's going to be taking place on June 18th. Give us a thumbnail sketch of everything that's going to go on and the starting times.
Okay. The event is actually June 18th at the Burley High School football field. Opening ceremonies is at 11 o'clock, and we go until 11 p.m. We're doing a 12-hour event. We will have tent sites set up that are that will have information on different cancers. It's very educational. You can go from tent site to tent site from all of our teams, and they will actually have a poster on there that describes the cancer and its symptoms. And I have to share a story with you, Zeb, that we actually had a family member at one of our relays that read our information at our tent site. He went back. He says, I have all these symptoms. He went back to Boise, and he was diagnosed with that exact cancer.
Oh, my.
But he self-diagnosed by just reading it on the poster.
Oh, my goodness sakes. Thank God for that information. Oh, my. How is he doing now, do you know?
He's doing great, wonderful. He's cancer-free. And so, it's just these little things that you can learn to self-medicate, basically, to see if you are a candidate, if this is something that's going on with you.
Now, tell us a little bit about the structure of the event and why the walking and the money and the funding. At this juncture, almost about a full month still ahead of the 18th, what are you looking for? Is there any more help you need in the community? Go ahead and lay it out for us, if you would.
Well, we always need volunteers to help out, and if you want to be a team, we still have. You can go online to the Relay for Life, Minnecasia Relay for Life, and you can sign up your team, and you can raise money that goes towards the funding. And anybody who wants to just come and see what it's all about, I highly advise you to do that. It's so emotional to watch the survivors and their caregivers go out on that track for that opening lap to see these people that you've seen for years, but you don't realize that they are actually a cancer survivor or they're battling cancer until you see them make that lap. It is very emotional, very moving, and it is absolutely wonderful to experience yourself.
Well, let me ask you...
Also, we have our Luminaria ceremony at the end of the event, and basically what that does is it lets us reflect and remember people who have passed and people who are battling cancer. It is a very emotional time. They have 15 minutes of silence, and it's dedicated just strictly to the cancer patients, people that have passed. And it's just something that lets you, it's a very special time to reflect, and it's very quiet, very, very moving. If you haven't experienced that, you need to.
Absolutely. Patty, what about, I had a listener call in, I think it was last week, all through the hubbub of our political ads, etc., and I was running a little advertisement about the 2016 Minnecasia Relay for Life on June 18th at the Burley High School football field, and after the program, a listener called and said, what about a personal check right now to go to fight cancer? Where would people send checks, or give us a little explanation about that?
anybody that wants to donate to the American Cancer Society can either look it up online, or you can send it to one of us, take it to an event. If they want to do that, the American Cancer Society is so thankful for people like that want to make that donation without any notoriety. They just want to make that contribution. And if they need to send it to someone, I can give you my address, which is 60 West, 100 North Rupert. You can send that check to me, and I will make sure, personally deliver that to the ACS and make sure that it is sent on your behalf, and you will receive a receipt so that you can use that for tax purposes.
Now, Patty, every year you seem to have a different theme, if you will, for the Relay for Life. What is it for this year?
With you. We are doing a fun Star Wars theme this year, and it should be really entertaining. Most of the teams, the tent sites, will have decorations relating to the Star Wars theme, and we just get together, and if anybody has a great idea for a new theme next year, be sure to shoot that to me. Give me a call at 670-2975. We'd love to have your ideas. And that's how we determine what our theme is for the next year.
All right, now give us a complete rundown again about public and how they can be involved, when it starts, where it starts on the 18th of June. Give it all again so that people can take notes on it one last time.
Okay, we're going to be at the Burley High School football field. We start at 11 in the morning. We conclude at 11 p.m., and if you have any questions about what you might be able to do, we always take volunteers that can help out with anything that we have on site that's going on. If you need to get in touch with me, my phone number is 670-2975.
Oh, I tell you what. Patty, I want to compliment you, and I mean this, that you are an excellent spokesperson for any event. You do a very good job of explaining, and God's blessings to you for being on the program this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us, Deb. We truly appreciate you. Have a great day.
You're very welcome. Thank you. That is one of the nicest ladies, and she is very, very well versed in what's going on with the 2016 Minnecasia Relay for Life. It's going to be on June 18th at the Burley High School football field, and it starts at 11 in the morning, goes to 11 at night. Please, may the cure be with you, their theme for this year. And I know that I've talked to Tim, and I've talked to Patty and many others with the Relay for Life, and it's absolutely a necessity that we all try to help. I better get the weather in here, and then I'm going to take some of your phone calls. We're going to talk about any doggone thing you want to talk about in the next couple of minutes, so give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. But first of all, it's time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you this hour by Scarro's Meats at 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Your hometown meat cutter, Scarro's Meats. Here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast as we are into pretty much the last week of May as we are working our way towards the Memorial Day weekend. We do have a slight chance of rain showers this morning, and winds are going to be out of the west, right around 9 miles an hour. High of 63 tonight, low of 43. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high of 66 with an overnight low of 43. Pretty much the same for Thursday and Friday. Mostly sunny skies. Highs are going to be in the mid to upper 60s. By Saturday, maybe a few morning rain showers and a high of 62, and then back to sunny skies and almost 70 for Sunday. That's your weather for Zeb at the Range.
She does a great job on the weather. Thank you, Gina. And it's brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Hello, Don. Hello, crew. And the number to call, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Okay, every day I pick the topics and I throw them out there and you listen to them and then you give me your opinion. Right now, your turn. Somebody call me up and give me a topic that you would like to discuss. Maybe something is bugging you. Maybe something is not right in your community. Maybe there's just something of joy that you'd like to share. Well, give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I will say this quickly. I'll answer the phone as quickly. Thank you very much. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, I was wondering, did you get that email I sent you about the Pope?
I don't think so. I'll check when I get off the air. When did you send it?
Oh, it was Saturday or Sunday.
Oh, well.
I had a recording and a picture with it.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you what. We were gone the bulk of the weekend, and my lovely bride and I have not even cracked half of the emails that have come in for observation. I will look for it when I get off the air. Thank you very much, and I'll take a look for it.
It just says Pope on the heading.
Okay, I'll take a look for it. I promise. Thank you. I appreciate that. And, boy, that's the one thing. We get, 150 emails a day or something like that. And we try to be fair and go through all of them and print off the ones that we're going to use on the air or the ones that are applicable to getting guests on the program. It's not a real fast process, but we do appreciate all of your involvement. zebattheranch@hotmail.com is my email. I'll say it again. It's zeb@theranch, 4 words, ZEBATTHERANCH, and then the @ hotmail.com. So send us anything you want to. I'd love to read it. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Zeb, this is Ross. I was going to ask you, have you kept an update? Because I haven't heard anything about them, them people that are in jail over that deal that happened up at Bend, Oregon. If you have, I'll hang up and listen.
No, wait a minute. Whoa, don't hang up. I will say this, and I've got to say it with a little shroud of secrecy on top of it, but I do know there are some things in the works to create a new finding, if you will, on those stories, and I have been in touch with some of the family members involved, and it's kind of a wait and see right now to see what they can say, what they can't say, that type of thing. So bear with me because I'm absolutely staying on top of that story, but I've got to go when they say I can.
Thank you so much, Zeb. I appreciate it.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. A lot of stories that have occurred here in the state of Idaho and the Northwest that deserve more observation, but some of which the information has not all been released. I swear I heard you clear your throat.
Yes, I did have a question. Have you heard anything about, as far as updates on Obama with Japan and Hiroshima?
No, I have not, and that's something that you, my dear quarterback friend over at the station, you twiddling your thumbs, gazing at the clock on the wall, wishing for lunch with a big cheeseburger, if you hear anything come across the wire service, feel free to go like this, and let me know.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Hey, buddy, thanks. Good to have you on the program. That young man over at the station has done a tremendous job, and I mean that. Old wheels. There were times that, naturally, learning the job and everything and learning how to be on time, I had my temper go up 100 degrees in Fahrenheit, but that young man is a keeper. Good old wheels over at the studio answering your calls, and he is very, very polite. I appreciate that. While I'm waiting for your call to come in this morning, as I just about tipped over the glass of water into the computer, that would have been a no-no. I want to remind you about your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, my goodness sakes, the tires that they have for you and your safe driving, for your cars and your pickups and your SUVs, like this one for your passenger cars, the Xeon RS3-A. Ooh, all-season performance, quality handling tire. You're going to love that one. And, of course, all your tires for your trailers, horse trailers, boat trailers, camp trailers. And you know what else they do? This is really nice, and it's free. Free pre-trip safety check. They will visually look at your tire pressure and inspect the tires for wear and inspect your brakes for wear and a visual inspection of your shocks and struts. I'm telling you what, they just don't want you to have any problems. So you stop in and see the best at your Magic Valley Les Les Schwab Tire Centers today. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on, it's messed up again, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls. Zeb, take your gold star off the wall. Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Absolutely the best. Still have time for one more phone call. Give me a jingle real quick. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Tomorrow on the program, and we're going to have that open forum from 8 till 9, and we'll bring up various topics and look forward to having your responses and your ideas and thoughts. And then at 9:06, Dave Beagle from Indianapolis, Indiana is going to be on the program, followed then by Ashley McGuire. Now, yesterday we were supposed to have Ashley McGuire on the program, and there was a wrong phone number given to us out here from Washington, D.C. We've got it rectified, and she's going to be on the program tomorrow. And then at 10:06, holy buckets, hang on, the Idaho Fish and Game Report with Kelton Hatch. And that's going to be coming up on tomorrow's program. Want to remind you again, in case you're wondering, that Lunch Bunch will be this Thursday. This Thursday, day after tomorrow, at 11:30 at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner at 611 Overland and Burley. And our thanks also go out to Smith's Foods and Hanson Mortuary, Walmart, and Stokes Groceries for all of their support in our gift certificate giveaways. Thank you very much. And Thomas and Terry and the whole crew at Denny's. Wow, it's a fun thing. It really is a fun thing. And these are not just friends that come to Lunch Bunch. We're all family, and God's blessings to each and every one of them. I'm looking forward to Thursday. I'm also looking forward to tomorrow at 8:06. We'll saddle the horse and ride again for 3 hours right here on K-Bar, 12:30 a.m., and then streaming live. And I've had a lot of people call and say, well, my aunt and uncle back in so-and-so would like to listen to you. Well, here's how you do it. Go to zebbell.com, and then follow the directions for clicking on the visual and the audio so they can hear everything and see it. And I got cameras right here in the studio, so I know, big old fat ugly me on the cameras. But anyway, we'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:06 and ride till 11. And remember, the way things were are the way things ought to be. Have a good one, everybody. God bless.